Welcome to this emergency tutorial for Chapter 7 in your old Expression Web book, and that's the reason I'm having to make it, because of the discrepancies between the old Expression Web book that you students have and the new software. There's a problem in chapter or tutorial number 7 when you get up to page 403 where you're creating layout tables. I'm going to open the site for tutorial 7. I'm going to assume that you've done the first half of this assignment. If you have not, you need to do that. And I'll make this as visual as possible, but you folks need to, if you're very visual learners, you need to also read. I have to rely on you to read material as well, and some students in this generation do not, but you need to make that choice by my dictation, be perfectly honest with you. I'm going through and looking for the folder that I created for this assignment. Thank you for bearing with me because I'm having to do this really much on the fly. Okay, I found my folder where I have my files located, and you know how to open sites by now. If you don't, you haven't been doing very much work in the course. I have a folder that contains a number of files. You'll have to find where yours is personally, and again, I've assumed you have done the first half of Chapter 7, and if you've done that, you've created a table, actually a web page called Data or Data New, and you have a table similar to this one called Rust River 200. The problem that comes in is when you get to page 403 in your textbook to create layout tables, there are tremendous differences in the old book, as I said, and the new software. And my job in this video explanation is to get you through the second half of the book by giving you some alternates that match the new book, which you don't have because of the bookstore's mistake. In any event, I'll take care of this with you. Please listen very carefully, rewind as you need to. I can't make perfect recordings because of time constraints, and at the same time I don't want you folks to stress unnecessarily over these later assignments in the book, so hopefully this will help you out. If you open your site, as I've done, you should see a number of files called Data, Data New, Races, Rivers, Rosters. You can see this over on the left hand side in your folder list, and this is the table that you should have made up to this point. Again, emphasizing for those who are so visual that they don't listen and they don't read, this is not the beginning. It is not the beginning of the chapter. This is the first half of the chapter created right here in the form of the Rust River table with the yellow background and the white letters for the headings, etc. If you've done this point, up to this point, you need to do this one first. If you haven't, go back and do the first half of the chapter. And starting on page 403, we're going to do another web page with CSS files with it. It will be very different in a lot of ways from your book, so you're going to have to rely on my video pretty totally here, and I promise you this will be a much easier method than trying to fight creating your own templates. So what I want you to do is to go to, and I apologize for my throat, apologize for, I'm sorry, trying to do this on the fly with a lot of stuff going on. Thank you. Go to the File menu choice, choose New, choose the word Page. I know this is not exactly like the book, trust me. File, New, Page, and when you get to this dialog box, choose CSS layouts. You should be familiar a little bit with CSS style sheets from a previous assignment, at least a little bit. Now you have to be careful right here with your choice. We're going to get a pre-designed layout and use that to create the other page in the second half of this chapter. You'll see a list that starts with 2 columns, then 3 columns, then header, and you want to make sure you choose the one that says header, nav, 2 columns, footer. Now there are 2 of these you got to watch out for. If you'll notice, this first one has a very skinny left column, kind of like Blackboard, and a very wide page layout. That's the one you want. The other one, although they have the same names, is exactly the opposite. The skinny part's on the right. You want to choose the one where the skinny part is on the left. It will look a lot like Blackboard with its links on the left and the bulk of the page content on the right. So be sure you use the first occurrence of header, nav, 2 columns, footer right here. Click OK, and you're actually going to get 2 pages that will be created. One will say untitled.html. That will be your page itself, the web page. The other will say untitled1 CSS. There's a Cascade style sheet associated with it. If you click on that tab, you'll see some basics here. You'll see something called masthead, which is the top border of a typical web page. For example, if you're looking at a newspaper like the Shelby Star or the Charlotte Observer, that big title on the front page that goes all the way across the top of the page is called a masthead. It comes from journalism. If you see a big title like the CCC website, you'll see a big banner across the page that says Cleveland Community College or something to that extent. That's called the masthead. The nav refers to the choices or the links that you have. Think of Blackboard where they're down the side, assignments, calendar with due dates, help, etc. You have a container which basically encompasses all these pieces of the website. This will all make sense later, I promise you. Page content, which will be the bulk of it, and then a footer at the very bottom. You know footers from probably word processing. What I'm going to do immediately, and I'm following somewhat the parts of the book, but again, I can't follow the book exactly because there are so many differences in it, so you'll have to trust me here. I want you to go in, and if you absolutely have to have a page, I can give it to you. Page 404, and again, the directions in there are not matching precisely because they can't. If you'll right click on this tab, you can choose the word save, and what will happen, this is a little tricky here, and I'm going to bring this dialog box over so you can see it. You're actually going to save these two pages back to back. The first one, of course, is the web page itself, and according to the book, page 404, step number 3, you're going to call this layout, L-A-Y-O-U-T-N-E-W, layout new.htm, and it will save as type web pages. Be absolutely sure that this page is going inside your folder with the other pages. If not, you'll have to start this whole section over again. I can't be emphatic enough. So go through here. If you can't find where your folder is, be absolutely certain that you know where yours is. Now mine will be very different from yours, so I have to rely on you to have that knowledge base already so you can find exactly which one you need to use. You'll see all the other file names right there as well. Click save, and as soon as you click save, what's going to happen immediately after that, back to back, it will ask you to save your CSS page. So there's my web page right there. Now the CSS page is going to have a different name, and again, if you look at page in the book for the title, I'm jumping immediately. In fact, it's not even in your book. You're going to have to call it styles, S-T-Y-L-E-S, new, N-E-W, dot CSS. It is critically important that you put CSS, Cascade Style Sheet. Spelling is critical. Click save, and you'll end up with two titles. Nothing special there, just that the titles that used to be called untitled have changed. Check in your folder list to make sure that those two files are located there. If they are not, then you need to start this part over. Message me, do whatever is necessary. Please, please, folks, do not wait till the last minute to pull off these assignments at the end of the semester. It's simply too difficult to help people in mass if they're lazy, procrastinating, or if life gets in the way. It's time. If life gets in the way, it's time to make a choice there, as I said online. Make an academic choice. If family and life need priority, do that. Wait for the course later. I won't chase that rabbit right now. I'm going to do something right here that parallels the new version of the book, and I'm going to go over to the right hand side to the apply styles task list where it says new style. You've done this before. Click on new style, and you'll get this dialog box which you've seen before. And I'm going under selector and choosing the word div, div, which is basically showing the divisions in this sheet. It will be very confusing at first, but I promise it will make sense later. Choose div, and if you will please, when you choose div, I want you to go under the border category, and you're going to leave the check marks alone. We're going to choose the word top. The drop down menu, choose the word solid. Under border width, type the number 1. Under border color, choose purple. You really choose any color you want to. What that's going to do, as illustrated down here at the bottom in preview, it's going to put a purple border, solid one, around the sections of this web page. So when I click OK, you'll see this happening. Now, right now they're side by side, but there's a very faint little line on the third row. If I click in the top area, you'll see something that says masthead. That's where we're going to put the picture heading for this page. The second one, which we'll delete later, is called top nav. The third box has two sections, one called left column, you can see the little tab right there, and one called page content. I'm just clicking to the left and to the right, and the bottom one's called the footer. We're going to look at each one of these and place some information in there. For the most part, that's already typed. You'll have to do very little typing here. You'll do some, but not a copiously large amount. Alright, let's click inside the masthead, which is the top purple box, and we're going to actually drag a picture in there. The picture, and if you're referring to the book, the picture is listed on page 408, and it's called river.gif. Basically, I'm just going to go over here to river, click on it. I'm going to hold my mouse button and drag it over to this top area. Now, when my arrowhead touches that masthead box, you can let go. You'll get the alternate text. I'm just going to type the word logo right there in the interest of time. Click OK. And your masthead, or that picture, should be in the top box. If it's in any of these other three, you need to undo or change it. Now, if I preview this site, that picture is not going to go all the way across the screen. So I'm going to do something to take care of that. If you look over in the style area, you should see something in your list that has a pound symbol and the word masthead. That's a style definition that's associated with it. I'm going to right click the word masthead and choose modify style. And I'm going to go over here in the categories and choose block. I'm going to make the text align be in the center. This will make sense shortly, I promise. And I'm going to go to the background category, clicking over there, and I'm going to change the background color to blue. You can change it to any color you like. Click OK for the confirmation. And what will happen if I preview this page, I'm going to hit F12, which is a preview button, and save it. Now it may give me, it's asking me to save this style sheet also, so click OK right there. You're safe, I promise. And you'll get a preview of what we have so far. You'll see that had I not had that blue background, it would look like there's a lot of empty space there. So I'll go ahead and close this browser so we know where we are right now. We're going to take this next section that says top nav, and we're going to delete that. You're thinking, why did we bother in the first place? I needed to get the layout initially in the web page first, and then we can adjust it accordingly. If I click this little tab right here that says div top nav, click on it, it will select that box, and I'm just going to hit the delete key on my keyboard, and that makes it go away. Alright, we're left now with left column over here on the right, page content, and down at the bottom we have something called footer. And we'll put some pieces in there that for the most part, mostly, are already done for us. Okay, so now I'm going to go in, I'm going to open up a page that's in the folder that is called season.html or HTM. The first thing I'm going to do is click inside the page content area. I can do that later. You'll see what's going to happen again in a few minutes. If I click on or double click on season.htm and open that web page, the only purpose we've got right here is just to select all this text. Hopefully you're familiar with this. If you're not, you can look at page 411. I'm going to select all this text by holding down Control and the letter A. You can also go to the edit menu and choose select all. Hopefully you're familiar with this from a previous computer course. But I've got that selected. I'm going to now right click and copy it. Just a good old copy and paste. Copy that information, starting with Rust River Raceway welcomes you all the way down to the paragraph ending in the phrase a $1,000 value. I'm going back to my layout new sheet by just clicking the tab. I'm going to click in this page content area. My mouse insertion pointer is there, and I'm going to paste it. You can right click and choose paste, or you can use Control V as the directions say. And that content, the reason it's shifted over, remember that this page layout is in 4 sections. The masthead at the top, the navigation bar, which we'll use in a few minutes, called left column, the area where we have our page content, and then the footer. Alright, so now we have this information copied in place right here. I'm now going to go to the very bottom of this last paragraph. I'm going to click past the word $1,000 value. So I'm clicking my insertion point, my mouse at the very end of the last sentence of the last paragraph. Now I'm going to open up the table that we did in the first half of the chapter called datanew.html. Hopefully again you've created this table. Now to select this table, we can go Control A, which will take care of it. The book will tell you to go in, and on page 412 it will say to choose Table Select, which you can do. Any way you want to do this to select the table is totally fine with me, but you can also do Control A like we did earlier. I'm going to copy it, just copy and paste again, go back to my Layout New document, go make sure I've got the mouse pointer at the insertion point at the end of the $1,000 value phrase, and I'll do a paste command. I can right click and choose paste, or I can do Control V, whatever works for you. And that's going to put the table at the bottom. Now it looks like it's pushing its way through it, and right now that's okay. It's going to look better than you think. I can go down here to the bottom of the screen, and pardon me while I adjust my headphones for this recording, and I can slide across, and everything's still okay. Don't worry about editing the table borders, but if you look on page 413, I'm going to take that very top title that says Rust River Raceway welcomes you, select it, reference point is page 413 in your book, and I'm going to make that an H1 heading, the large size, by clicking the paragraph drop down menu up here at the very top near the word Site and choose heading 1. That's going to put it right there. Now let's again preview this in the browser by clicking F12, the F12 key, or you can go to File, Preview in Browser. It's also the F12 key, same difference. And I've got to save it. And there's my preview so far of my site. Now I've got this empty area over on the left hand side, and I'll change that very shortly when we put some links in there. Closing this browser, going back to Expression Web. We're now at this point. Alright? And I'm not worried about aligning the caption at the bottom. Several things I'm skipping here because it just causes confusion in the book. Now we're going to go down to the bottom of the screen. Remember I said there were several parts to this layout. Below the table, go all the way to the bottom, there's still another purple box at the very bottom. If I click inside of that, you'll see the word footer. And the footer information is on page 414. I'm typing the phrase, contact the Rust River Raceway. Again, this text is on page 414, and those instructions at the bottom, at Rust Raceway, hopefully I spelled this correctly, at dev1 or devon, something like that, .net. I don't need to enter it. And I'm going to select the email address. Just drag or use your shift key to select it. And Control C will copy it. This will look crazy at first. We're going to make a hyperlink out of this. So Control K, or if you want to right click, either one's fine. You can do Control K or you can choose hyperlink. And I'm going to connect the text I'm displaying right now to an email address. So what I'll do here, with this select, I'll do Control K, and I'll then go to the email text box. The little pointer is focused in there, and I'll paste that email address right there. What this is going to do is create a hyperlink for me. Alright, and now that I have that done, I'll go ahead and I can leave it clicked, or I can click anywhere in there, and I'm going to click the center button just like I do in Microsoft Word, and that's going to center the text right there. Again, if you want to preview this, you can hit F12 and save everything, and you can see the footer at the bottom of the screen. Now again, yeah, that's centered across the whole page right there. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more so you can see the whole page at one time and get the picture of what's going on. The only thing we have remaining now is over in this left column that's white. We'll put in some hyperlinks right there, and that's what we'll do next. Now the book is going to refer to interactive buttons. I'm not going to fool with that because, and I don't mean fool with it in a derogatory manner, but just to save you some time and stress, we've done buttons in another exercise. Let's just go with simple hyperlinks right here, which is what the new version of this book does anyway. So don't worry about the buttons. Basically what we're going to do is type in 5 phrases, 5 links. On page 416 is the very first one. And if I click in the, not the big box, but the little tiny one below the RRR, it will say left column. Click right in there, not in this bottom part, but in the top part, and just type the phrase upcoming. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong key somewhere. I think I hit a shift. Upcoming races. And trust me here, hit the enter key. The next phrase you'll type in, which is on page 419, is called driver rosters. Enter that. The next phrase is the word standings, again on page 419. Enter that. And then the word division rules, again on page 419. And lastly, the phrase our sponsors. You don't have to hit the enter key after this unless you especially want to. So that takes care of these 5 options. They're going to be links. Think in terms of Blackboard right here. I'm not worried about spacing right now. I'm just in the functionality and getting you through the assignment for the semester is what I'm interested in. Now I'm going back to page 416 because each of these items is going to have a link, and this will explain why I have so many pages in this particular site. I'm going to select the phrase upcoming races. You've done this before in a previous assignment. But if you will click insert hyperlink, or you can right click insert and do hyperlink, or you can do Control K, and you'll get this screen. And it should say right here, it should say existing file or web page, not email address. Do not choose email address right here. Existing file or web page, and the address will be at the bottom. And you're going to choose, according to the directions, you're going to choose races, which is that page, races.html. I'm just going to click it right there. Basically, this is saying when I click the phrase upcoming races, it should go to the web page called races.com. Again, be certain that when you choose hyperlink, that it does not say email address, but that it says existing file or web page. Choose races right there. Click OK. Very simple. Once you get the routine, and you'll see the standard blue underscore. Now they've got options here where you can change the colors if you want to. I'm not worried about that for this exercise. I just want you to get through it. You have enough stress as it is with the end of the year coming up. End of the semester. Driver rosters, select that one. If you want a reference right here for it. And don't worry about all the image and width and all that stuff. If you go to page 419, driver rosters, you're going to use a hyperlink for that one. So again, Control K or whatever you want to use. And I'm going to choose for that one rosters as the web page. Click OK. Select the word standings. You probably have the routine down pat by now, or you may have stopped the video. Control K for the hyperlink. And I'll choose for standings. I'm looking at page 419, instruction number 7. I'm going to find the one that says standings. I got to scroll down here to find it. Click that one. Click OK. Division rules. Boom. Select the text. Control K to hyperlink it. For division rules, it's on instruction 9, page 419. You're going to choose the rules page, rules.html. Click OK. Finally, our sponsors. Control K for the hyperlink, and you're going to choose the sponsors page. So we'll have to scroll down to get that puppy down there. There we go. Click OK. And we're almost through with the web page, believe it or not. So now, if you want to test it out, just hit F12, save your results by clicking OK, and you can test these hyperlinks if you want to. Upcoming races, if I click it, goes to the race page. Backspace. Driver rosters goes to the roster page. I'm just clicking on each link. Standings, division rules, whoops, I right-clicked, sorry, and our sponsors. The reason some of you may see some flickering with my mouse pointer is because this is in video recording mode, and that's just part of the process that goes on. Alright, so we're taking shape. There's only one more item that we need to do, and again, I'm not worried about buttons. Don't worry about moving your images to a new folder. Make this simple. Doesn't matter. We're going to go to page 423 and create a brand new table. This one is much easier than the other one. I'm going to click past our sponsors and hit the enter key. You can do it once or twice, whatever kind of spacing you want. I'm going to make this one easy right here. I'm going to click, according to page 423, I'll click Table, Insert Table. This will be much simpler than the previous table was. It won't be as involved. We're going to choose one column right here instead of two columns. Leave the rows like they are. So we have two rows in one column. So in other words, two entries total. Click OK. You'll see this information. There's the table right there. Got two spots for the table. The TD stands for table data. Alright, leave the table selected, and on the either the menu bar, well, the menu bar is fine. Click Table, go to Modify, go to Table Auto Format. This will give a special format for it, so we don't have to automatically manually change colors and backgrounds and stuff. We can just select a previously designed format. This is in Excel as well if you've had that class. And you go through this list, you see all kinds of formats and their illustrations and the colors and shading and all that. They're asking you on page 423 in the book to choose, turn to page 424, and you're going to choose an option or style that is called List 4. They're in alphabetical order. You'll see it like that. Click OK, and you'll see what happens. You'll get the gray background with white letters, and you'll see this come up in a minute as soon as we type text. Click OK. If you'll click inside the gray area, and it may be hard to see the mouse insertion point at first, you're going to go to instruction number 4 on page 424 and type the phrase Ticket Info. Click in the next box right below it and type the phone number, which is 631 space 420. I hope I read this correctly. 2755. And if you want to center that, you just click the center button and do the same thing in the previous entry where it says Ticket Info. Center that also, and you have a nice little table there. Don't worry about anything else fancy in this exercise. F12 saves it. Click OK, and there's your design. Hopefully this may, and if you look at page 425, other than the interactive buttons, you have a very similar situation right here. I should have actually put the border at the bottom. If you got it at the bottom, that's fine. If you got the border, excuse me, I said border. If you got this caption right here at the top instead of at the bottom, hey, I just want to make sure you have the functionality there. This was my mistake for not noticing it until now, and you just make it easier for yourselves. As long as I have a clean design, something like this, you're okay. Please contact me if you need additional help beyond the video.